The stars looked different from deep space. Captain Allison Wright stood on the observation deck of the spacecraft Voyager and stared out at the unfamiliar patterns. After 6 months of travel, they were finally approaching the coordinates sent by the alien probe. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," said Communications Officer Lisa Chen through the intercom. "It matches the frequency from the Jupiter probe." "On my way," Allison replied, taking one last look at the stars before heading to the bridge. The bridge of the Voyager hummed with nervous energy as Allison stepped through the sliding doors. The year was 2157, and humanity was about to make first contact with an alien civilization that called itself the Galactic Confederacy. "Put it on screen," Allison ordered, straightening her blue uniform jacket. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a creature that looked somewhat like a tall, thin human with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. It spoke in a musical language that the ship's computer quickly translated. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Ambassador Nix of the Galactic Confederacy. Please follow our guidance beacon to the diplomatic station. We await your arrival." The message ended, and the screen showed a small space station floating against the blackness. It was shaped like a wheel with spokes leading to a central hub. "Set course for the station," Allison said to the pilot, Jack Rivera. "Standard approach speed." Dr. Gregory Palmer, the team's xenobiologist, moved to stand beside Allison. His eyes were wide with excitement. "Can you believe it, Captain? 17 different alien species in one coalition. We're going to make history today." Allison nodded. "Just remember the mission. We're here to establish peaceful relations and learn." The United Earth government was very clear about that. As the Voyager approached the station, everyone on the bridge grew quiet. This was the moment they had trained for, the reason they had traveled so far from home. "Docking complete," Jack announced after guiding the ship into one of the station's bays. "Pressure and atmosphere readings are Earth normal," added Science Officer Eric Ward. "They've prepared the station for us." Allison took a deep breath. "All right, Dr. Palmer, Security Officer Barnes, and Communications Officer Chen, you're with me. Everyone else stays on board until we establish that it's safe." The small team gathered in the airlock. Kevin Barnes checked his stunner one last time before holstering it. He was not expecting trouble, but his job was to be prepared. "Remember," Allison said, "we represent all of humanity today." The airlock opened with a soft hiss, revealing a long corridor leading to a large circular room. The walls were a soft white that seemed to glow from within. At the far end stood a group of aliens, some humanoid, others very different in shape and size. As the humans entered the room, Allison noticed something odd. The aliens seemed to shift away slightly, maintaining a greater distance than seemed necessary. Ambassador Nix, the blue-skinned alien from the transmission, stepped forward but stopped several feet away. "Welcome to Diplomatic Station 7, humans of Earth," said Nix, their translator converting the musical language into English. "We have observed your planet for many cycles and determined that your species has achieved the necessary technological advancement for official contact." Allison stepped forward and gave the practiced greeting. "On behalf of the United Earth government and all humans, we are honored to meet you and hope to establish peaceful relations with the Galactic Confederacy." As she spoke with excitement, several of the aliens visibly flinched. One creature that looked like a tall insect with 4 arms took several steps back. Dr. Palmer noticed the reaction and whispered to Allison, "Captain, I think our presence is causing some kind of distress." Ambassador Nix continued, "We have prepared quarters for your stay and will begin formal negotiations tomorrow. For now, please follow the guide to your living area." A small, floating robot appeared and led them through another corridor. The aliens maintained their distance, watching the humans with what seemed like caution or fear. In their assigned quarters, which looked like a simple but comfortable hotel suite, the team gathered to discuss their observations. "Did you see how they reacted when the captain expressed excitement?" Lisa asked. "It was like they were afraid." Kevin nodded. "They kept their distance too, much more than necessary for beings meeting for the first time. The standard protocol for new species contact includes medical scans and closer interaction Dr. Palmer added. They skipped all that. It's like they already know something about us that makes them cautious. Later that evening, while the others rested, Kevin decided to explore the nearby common areas of the station. The corridors were mostly empty, but he heard voices coming from a small room. The door was partially open, and he recognized Ambassador Nick speaking with another alien, this one resembling a reptile walking on two legs. The Deathworlders with the Predator Plague have arrived as scheduled, said the reptilian creature in a harsh whisper that Kevin's translator picked up. Don't call them that, Nix replied. They are called humans and they deserve the same respect as any sentient species. Respect? They live on a Class 5 death world. No other intelligent species has ever evolved in such conditions. Their very presence triggers flight responses in most Confederacy species. Kevin stepped back, processing what he had heard. Deathworlders? Predator plague? What did that mean? He returned to their quarters and reported the conversation to Captain Wright and the others. A Class 5 death world? Dr. Palmer repeated. They must have a classification system for planets, and Earth must be considered extremely dangerous by their standards. Allison frowned. And what's this predator plague they mentioned? I don't know, Palmer replied. But it explains their behavior. They're treating us differently than other species. They're afraid of us, but I don't understand why. The next morning, the human delegation attended the formal meeting with representatives from all 17 species of the Galactic Confederacy. The large conference room was arranged with the humans at one end and the aliens spread out in a semicircle facing them. Again, Allison noticed the unusual distance. As the meeting progressed, Dr. Palmer conducted subtle observations of the aliens' reactions. He noticed that whenever a human showed strong emotion, whether excitement, frustration, or curiosity, many of the aliens physically recoiled. During a break in the proceedings, Palmer approached one of the smaller aliens, a creature with fur and large eyes that reminded him of an earth lemur. Excuse me, Palmer said gently. I'm Dr. Gregory Palmer, xenobiologist from Earth. May I ask your name? The furry alien blinked rapidly. I am Vian of Proxima Centauri B. You are different from what we expected. How so? Palmer asked. Vian hesitated. You're calmer. The record suggested your kind would be more intense. Before Palmer could ask more questions, Ambassador Nix called the meeting back to order. But as the humans returned to their seats, Kevin overheard two delegates, tall, blue-skinned beings with 4 arms each. The Deathworlders seem peaceful enough, one said. For now, replied the other. Wait until they feel threatened. The predator plague emerges then. When confronted later, the aliens refused to explain, saying it was merely a cultural designation. But the human delegation knew something important was being hidden from them. Something about humans that made even apex predators of other worlds keep their distance. 6 months passed since first contact. The United Earth government had signed a probationary membership agreement with the Galactic Confederacy. Humans were now allowed to visit certain parts of the Confederacy space stations and ships. Earth received alien technology that helped with medicine and clean energy. In return, humans shared their art, music, and some basic technology. Lieutenant Olivia Martinez stepped off the transport shuttle onto Confederacy Science Station Epsilon. She smoothed down her blue uniform and took a deep breath. As Earth's new representative to the Alien Biological Research Division, she felt both excited and nervous. Lieutenant Martinez? Welcome to Station Epsilon, said a voice. Olivia turned to see a strange alien. It looked like a walking squid with 6 tentacle arms and glossy blue-green skin. 2 large eyes blinked at her from a round head. I am Vrix, senior researcher. I will be your supervisor, the alien said through a translator device attached to what seemed to be its neck. Thank you for the welcome, Olivia replied with a smile. I'm looking forward to working with you. Vrix led Olivia through the station. Unlike other aliens Olivia had met, Vrix did not keep an unusual distance. In fact, the squid-like researcher walked close beside her, occasionally using a tentacle to point out features of the station. You seem comfortable around humans, Olivia said. Most aliens I've met keep their distance. Vrix's skin changed color slightly, becoming more purple. My species evolved in deep oceans. We do not have the same sensitivities as land-evolved species. Also, I find humans fascinating rather than frightening. Olivia wanted to ask more questions, but they had arrived at the research lab. Inside, several aliens of different species worked at strange-looking equipment. When Olivia entered, most of them moved to the far side of the room. "Your workstation is here," Vrix said, pointing to a desk near the door. "Today you will observe only. Tomorrow you begin work on the cell regeneration project." For the next few weeks, Olivia learned about alien biology and shared information about human physiology. She noticed that Vrix was indeed the only alien who seemed comfortable around her. The others maintained distance and sometimes left rooms. When she entered, one day while working late in the lab, Olivia heard an alarm. Red lights flashed throughout the station. "Warning. Containment field failure in Lab 7. All personnel evacuate," announced a computerized voice. Olivia looked up to see Vrix working with dangerous chemicals in a separate section of the lab. The squid alien seemed unaware of the alarm, focused on a delicate procedure. "Vrix!" Olivia shouted. "The containment field is failing." She saw energy waves rippling around the workstation where Vrix stood. Without thinking, Olivia ran across the room. She grabbed Vrix with both hands and pulled the alien away from the station. They fell to the floor just as a small explosion erupted where Vrix had been standing. Olivia felt a burning sensation on her arm where some chemical had splashed. It hurt, but didn't seem too serious. "Are you okay?" she asked Vrix. The alien's reaction was not what Olivia expected. Instead of gratitude, Vrix's entire body changed to a pale white color. The alien scrambled away from her, tentacles moving frantically. "Emergency! Human stress contamination! Decontamination team to Lab 4 immediately!" Vrix shouted into a communication device. "What?" Olivia asked, confused. "I'm fine. It's just a small burn." "Stay where you are," Vrix ordered, now at the far side of the room. "Do not move. The decontamination team will arrive shortly." Within minutes, aliens in full body protection suits entered the lab. They approached Olivia cautiously. "You must undergo decontamination procedures," one said through a speaker in its suit. "Please follow us to quarantine." "I don't understand," Olivia protested as they led her away. "I was just helping Vrix. Your adrenaline response has triggered a high-level predator signature," the suited alien explained. "It is dangerous to most Confederacy species." Meanwhile, in another part of Confederacy space, Commander Jason Powell led a cultural exchange visit to the Aloran homeworld. The Alorans were a peaceful species that looked like tall, thin deer walking on two legs. They had invited humans to share art, music, and sports. "And this is called arm wrestling," Jason explained to a group of fascinated Alorans. "It's a friendly competition of strength." Jason and his team member Sam Green sat across from each other at a table. They placed their elbows on the surface and gripped each other's hands. "Ready? Go!" called out Lisa Ford, another human team member. Jason and Sam began to push against each other's arms. Their faces turned red with effort. The muscles in their arms bulged as each tried to force the other's arm down to the table. The watching Alorans became increasingly agitated. Their large ears flattened against their heads. Some began making high-pitched whistling sounds that their translators didn't convert. "Stop! Stop immediately!" shouted the Aloran leader, backing away rapidly. "Why are you fighting? This is a peaceful exchange." Jason and Sam stopped at once, confused. "We're not fighting," Jason explained. "It's just a game, a sport. No one gets hurt." The Aloran leader's whole body trembled. "Your chemical signatures, they are at predator attack levels. You triggered mass fear response in my people. This meeting is ended for today. Please return to your quarters." That evening, the human cultural team met in their quarters to discuss what had happened. "I don't get it," Sam said. "We've shown them combat sports videos before without this reaction. Why did seeing arm wrestling in person upset them so much?" "It's something about our physical presence," Lisa suggested. Remember how Captain Wright reported the aliens reacting to emotional states during first contact? Back on the research station, Dr. Gregory Palmer, who had transferred there after first contact, made an important discovery. He had gained access to classified Confederacy files through careful relationship building with a helpful alien librarian. "Captain, Wright needs to see this," he muttered as he downloaded the information to a secure device. The files revealed that Earth had been designated a Class 5 death world, the highest danger rating in the Confederacy's planetary classification system. According to the documents, planets were classified by predator-prey ratios, environmental dangers, and competitive evolution factors. Earth scored at the extreme end of all categories. Even more surprising was the revelation that humans were the only sentient species from such a planet to achieve spaceflight. All other Confederacy species had evolved on worlds with fewer predators and less environmental pressure. One document noted, "Human physiological responses to stress, competition, and threat produce chemical signatures that trigger deep instinctual fear responses in most Confederacy species. These signatures are similar to, but more intense than, the apex predators of their respective worlds." Another report warned, "Humans in heightened emotional states broadcast danger signatures detectable at distances up to 20 standard units. Particular caution advised during activities that humans classify as sports, emergency response, and celebration." Palmer realized the truth. It wasn't that aliens feared humans because of their technology or physical strength. They feared humans because to alien senses, humans constantly leaked chemical signals that screamed dangerous predator, and humans had no idea they were doing it. Research Station Omega orbited Saturn, its sleek metal ring structure gleaming in the planet's light. It was the first joint human-alien facility in the solar system. For the past month, scientists from Earth worked alongside researchers from the Galactic Confederacy, studying the strange effects humans had on alien species. Dr. Amanda Nichols adjusted her microscope and peered at the sample. She was a top endocrinologist from Earth, specially chosen for this project. On the other side of the lab, 3 alien scientists worked at a safe distance, their environmental suits filtering the air. "I think I found something," Amanda called to her research partner, Dr. Min Chen. Min crossed the room to look at Amanda's screen. The display showed human sweat samples under high magnification. "Look at the chemical compound structure," Amanda said, pointing to glowing molecules. "Our bodies produce these when we experience strong emotions. They're related to adrenaline and other stress hormones." "Why would these affect aliens so much?" Min asked, frowning at the screen. "Because they evolved on different worlds," said a voice from across the room. The voice belonged to Zrel, a tall blue alien with 4 arms who specialized in cross-species biology. Despite wearing a protective suit, Zrel kept a careful distance from the humans. "May I explain?" Zrel asked, approaching a communication screen rather than coming closer. Amanda nodded. "Please do." "Most intelligent species in the Confederacy evolved as prey animals," Zrel said. "Our ancestors survived by detecting danger and running away. Only a few evolved from predator stock like the Draconians, but even they evolved on worlds with limited predator competition." "And humans didn't?" Min asked. "Your world is unique," Zrel continued. "Earth has an unusually high number of apex predators competing with each other. Your species evolved not just alongside predators, but as predators yourselves. Your bodies produce chemical signals that, to our senses, are similar to the most dangerous creatures from our worlds, but much stronger." Amanda considered this new information. "So when we feel fear or excitement, you broadcast danger signals," Zrel finished. "What is merely a communication system within your species is a powerful warning beacon to ours. It triggers instinctive fear responses that bypass conscious thought." Later that day, Amanda sent her findings to Captain Allison Wright, who had been promoted to Admiral and now served as Earth's primary contact with the Confederacy. The report explained how human hormones and pheromones affected alien nervous systems. "To them, we're walking fear factories," Amanda explained in her message. "Even when we're calm, we emit low levels of chemicals that make aliens uneasy. When we're excited, angry, or afraid, the effect multiplies. It's like standing next to a tiger that's about to pounce. 2 weeks later, the Draconians requested a joint military exercise with human forces. This surprised Earth Command, as the reptilian aliens had been among the most cautious around humans. They say they want to build resistance to human chemical signatures. Admiral Wright told Captain Daniel Foster during a video call. Apparently, the Draconians are embarrassed that they react fearfully to humans. As the Confederacy's main military force, they see it as a weakness. Captain Foster nodded on the screen. I understand. When should we begin? The exercise starts next week on Mars Base Alpha. Keep it simple. Basic combat drills and team maneuvers. And Captain, try to keep your people calm. We don't want to trigger mass panic in our allies. The Mars Base training room was large and well-equipped. Human Marines in blue training uniforms stood on one side, while Draconian warriors in scaled armor stood on the other. The Draconians looked impressive. Tall, muscular reptiles with sharp teeth and claws. Welcome to Joint Exercise Alpha 1, Captain Foster said to both teams. Today we'll practice basic squad movements and combat drills. No weapons for now, just physical training. The Draconian commander, a large female named Salek, stepped forward. Her scales were deep red with black patterns. My warriors are honored to train with the Death Worlders. We will overcome our biological limitations. The training began with simple running and jumping exercises. The Draconians performed well, their powerful legs allowing them to jump higher than the humans. Next came strength tests, where the aliens also showed impressive results. Now for some light sparring, Captain Foster announced. Just practice moves, no actual fighting. The human Marines paired up and began practicing combat moves slowly. They blocked punches, practiced throws, and demonstrated takedown techniques. Their movements were controlled and precise. Across the room, the Draconians watched. Their bodies grew tense. Several began making low hissing sounds. Is something wrong? Foster asked Salek. The Draconian commander's eyes were wide, her pupils narrowed to slits. Your warriors, their chemical output has changed. They're just focused on training, Foster explained. Nothing dangerous. You don't understand, Salek said, backing away slightly. The signature is overwhelming. As the human Marines continued their drills, their bodies naturally produced more adrenaline and other hormones. They weren't afraid or angry, just focused and energized by the exercise. But to the Draconians, the effect was frightening. One of the human Marines executed a perfect throw, flipping his partner onto a padded mat. The partner jumped up, laughing and complimenting the move. It was a normal training moment. Salek suddenly barked an order in her own language. The entire Draconian team immediately backed away to the far wall. Several drew breathing masks from their equipment and put them on. What's happening? Foster asked, confused. We must take a break, Salek said, her voice strained. The predator signals are too intense. The exercise ended early. Later, in their report to Confederacy Command, the Draconian team classified the incident as an involuntary species preservation response. In simpler terms, they had experienced overwhelming fear they couldn't control. Back on Earth, Admiral Wright called an emergency meeting with the United Earth government. Representatives from all major nations gathered in the Geneva headquarters to hear the latest findings from Research Station Omega. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Wright began, we now understand why the Confederacy species fear humans. Dr. Nichols has confirmed that our normal body chemistry triggers instinctive fear responses in most alien species. She displayed images from Amanda's research on the large screen. These are the chemical compounds our bodies naturally produce. To aliens, they signal dangerous predator. It's not personal, it's biological. Can't they just get used to it? Asked the representative from Brazil. Their scientists are working on that, Wright replied. But these are deep instincts developed over millions of years of evolution. It would be like asking humans not to be afraid when facing a growling lion. What about filters or masks? Suggested the Indian representative. They help somewhat, but our strongest chemical signals can penetrate most materials, Wright explained. Dr. Nichols is working on suppressant drugs that might reduce our chemical output, but that's years away. After the meeting, Admiral Wright traveled to the Confederacy's headquarters station for a special session with the High Council. She demanded to know why humans had been kept in the dark about their effect on other species. The ancient Quarian representative, a tall being with paper-thin skin and glowing eyes, finally explained, "Your species evolved alongside so many predators that you became the ultimate predators yourselves. You don't just hunt, you persist. The scent of your determination alone causes neurological panic in most sentient species." "We deserve to know the truth," Wright insisted. "We feared your reaction," the Quarian admitted. "Throughout our history, predator species who discovered their power over others often abused it. We didn't want humans to know they could literally frighten most Confederacy citizens by simply becoming emotional." Wright shook her head. "That's not who we are. We want to be partners, not threats, but we need honesty to move forward." As she spoke passionately, several council members leaned away from her. Even now, her natural human emotions caused chemical reactions that made them uneasy. The truth was clear. Humans weren't feared for their weapons or technology, but for their very biology. They were walking, talking predator signals in a galaxy of prey. 3 years passed since humanity learned why aliens feared them. Earth had established 7 colonies on distant planets and developed trade relationships with many alien species. Despite this progress, humans still face challenges in the galactic community. Most aliens maintained their distance and separate facilities for humans remained common. The colony on Proxima Centauri b was humanity's most ambitious project. Over 5,000 people lived there now, building a new world under the light of the red dwarf star. Governor Samantha Walsh looked out her office window at the growing settlement. The dome-covered city gleamed in the reddish sunlight, surrounded by fields where earth plants grew in the alien soil. Her assistant, Ryan Cooper, entered the office with a worried look on his face. "Governor, we're receiving strange signals from the outer system," he said. "The deep space sensors are picking up multiple ships heading our way." "Confederation vessels?" Samantha asked. Ryan shook his head. "No identification signals. They're not responding to hails either." Samantha frowned. This wasn't normal. All Confederation ships broadcast clear identification signals. "Alert the security team," she ordered. "And contact Earth Command. We may have a problem." Within hours, the situation became clear. 15 warships had entered the Proxima Centauri system and established a blockade around the human colony's planet. They finally sent a message to the colony. "Attention human settlement," the message began. "This is Commander Krell of the Purity Collective. Your kind represents an evolutionary aberration and a threat to galactic stability. Your expansion ends here. Surrender your colony and prepare for evacuation." The Purity Collective was a radical faction that had broken away from the Confederation. They believed that some species, especially those with predatory traits, shouldn't be allowed to expand beyond their home systems. Governor Walsh immediately called an emergency meeting with her staff. "Earth Command has been notified," she told them, "but it will take at least 3 weeks for help to arrive. Until then, we're on our own." "What about our defense systems?" asked Security Chief Frank Martinez. "We have minimal orbital defenses," Samantha replied. "This is supposed to be a peaceful scientific colony. We have some security measures, but nothing that can stand against 15 warships." "So we just give up?" asked Dr. Helen Evans, the colony's head scientist. Samantha shook her head firmly. "No, we find a way to survive until help arrives." In the following days, the Purity Collective ships maintained their blockade but didn't attack. They sent more messages demanding surrender. They claimed they would transport the humans safely back to Earth. "Don't trust them," Lieutenant Peter Mitchell told the governor. Mitchell had served in Earth's Space Forces before joining the colony's security team. If they wanted a peaceful solution, they wouldn't have come with warships. "I agree," Samantha said. "But what can we do against their firepower?" Mitchell looked thoughtful. "Maybe we can use what they fear against them." "What do you mean?" They're afraid of us, of our chemical signatures, Mitchell explained. Dr. Nichols's research showed that humans under stress produce even stronger fear-triggering chemicals. What if we could use that somehow? The idea was risky but might work. Mitchell gathered a small team of engineers and security personnel to develop a plan. They began modifying mining equipment to serve as makeshift weapons. A week after the blockade began, the Purity Collective lost patience. 3 of their ships landed outside the colony dome. Troops in environmental suits began drilling through the outer barriers. "They're coming in from the east sector," Frank reported to Governor Walsh. "Their suits are designed to filter out human chemical signatures." "Is Mitchell's team ready?" she asked. "As ready as they'll ever be," Frank replied. Mitchell led 20 volunteers to defend the east sector. They carried modified mining lasers and wore masks connected to small tanks. "Remember," Mitchell told his team, "they expect us to be afraid. And we are, but we'll use that fear." The aliens broke through the barrier and entered the colony. There were about 50 of them, carrying advanced weapons and moving in organized formation. They clearly expected little resistance from the peaceful human settlers. Mitchell gave the signal. His team activated their special tanks, which didn't contain oxygen as the aliens might have expected. Instead, they contained concentrated human sweat and stress hormones collected from volunteers throughout the colony. Years of research into the predator plague had taught humans exactly which bodily chemicals triggered the strongest fear responses in alien nervous systems. The humans released these chemicals into the air while advancing toward the invaders. At the same time, they used their mining lasers to create bright flashes and loud noises, adding to the confusion. The effect was immediate. Despite their protective suits, the aliens began to show signs of panic. Their formation broke apart as individuals reacted to the overwhelming chemical signals of apex predator under threat, the most frightening combination possible to their instincts. "It's working!" shouted Ryan, who was monitoring the situation from the command center. "Their suits can't completely block the concentrated chemicals." The aliens retreated in disorder, some firing wildly while others simply ran. Mitchell's team pressed their advantage, using more of the chemical weapons and driving the invaders back toward their ships. Meanwhile, in orbit, something similar was happening. The colony had few space vessels, but Governor Walsh had ordered all available ships to fly close patterns near the Purity Collective fleet. Each small human craft broadcast amplified recordings of human heartbeats and breathing during states of high stress, sounds that meant nothing to humans, but signaled deadly predator to alien ears. For 3 more days, the humans used these psychological tactics to keep the invaders at bay. They couldn't win a direct battle, but they could make themselves seem far more threatening than their numbers suggested. On the 4th day, Confederation peacekeeping ships finally arrived. The Purity Collective fleet, already destabilized by the human tactics, quickly surrendered rather than face charges of illegal aggression against a member species. Commander Krell, the leader of the attack, was brought before Confederation authorities. His formal complaint was surprising. "The humans used biological warfare against my troops," he claimed. "They deliberately exposed my soldiers to prolonged human combat stress emissions. Many of my warriors require extended psychological treatment." Confederation investigators reviewed recordings from the colony. What they saw surprised them. The humans, facing a genuine threat to their survival, had produced chemical signatures more intense than any previously measured. Even through environmental suits and ship filters, these signals had triggered overwhelming fear responses in the attacking forces. Admiral Wright, who led the rescue fleet, met with Governor Walsh after the crisis ended. "You saved the colony," the Admiral said with admiration. "And you taught us something important about ourselves." "What's that?" Samantha asked. "That what aliens fear most isn't our weapons or technology," Wright replied. "It's our will to survive. When truly threatened, humans produce chemical signals so powerful they can affect other species even through protective equipment. It's like our bodies have a built-in defense system we never knew about." As news of the Proxima incident spread throughout the galaxy, other species began to look at humans with new eyes. Yes, humans were frightening, but they had used their natural abilities only in defense, not conquest. Perhaps these strange Deathworlders weren't the threat everyone had feared. But one thing was certain. No one would try to attack a human colony again anytime soon. The Proxima incident changed how the galaxy viewed humans. In the months that followed, the Galactic Confederacy was forced to reconsider humanity's position in the cosmic community. The fact that humans had used their biological traits only in defense, not aggression, made a strong impression on many species. Dr. Amanda Nichols stood in her new laboratory on Earth's moon. The facility was larger and better equipped than her previous lab on Saturn. Her team had grown too, now including scientists from 3 alien species who were brave enough to work directly with humans. "The latest test results are promising," said her assistant, Dr. Luis Rodriguez, pointing to a screen filled with chemical formulas. "The pheromone suppressant reduces our chemical signatures by almost 60% without affecting human health." Amanda nodded, pleased with the progress. "That should make everyday interactions more comfortable for our alien friends. Have the Draconians tested it yet?" "Yes, they report it makes a significant difference," Luis replied. "They can now remain in a room with humans for extended periods without experiencing fear responses." This work was part of a larger effort to help humans integrate better with the galactic community. While humans couldn't change their basic biology, they could find ways to make their presence less threatening to other species. At the same time, in Geneva, Captain Allison Wright, now promoted to admiral, met with alien diplomats to negotiate new protocols for human-alien interactions. The large conference room had special air filters and widely spaced seating to accommodate different species' comfort levels. "The separate facilities policy is no longer appropriate," Wright argued to the assembled representatives. "Humans have proven themselves to be responsible members of the Confederacy. We should work toward integration, not separation." The Quarian delegate, whose species was among the most sensitive to human chemical signatures, raised a thin hand. "We agree in principle, Admiral, but practical concerns remain. Even with suppressants and filters, many species still experience discomfort around humans. Which is why we're proposing a gradual approach," Wright replied. "Starting with joint facilities in areas where interaction is most beneficial, like research centers and trade hubs." The discussions continued for weeks with both sides making compromises. Humans agreed to use suppressant drugs in certain settings, while the Confederacy agreed to begin dismantling the segregated facility system. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic Ocean in New York, Professor Alan Russell was working on a different approach to the problem. As a cultural anthropologist, he believed that shared experiences might help overcome biological barriers. "We need to show them who we really are," he told his colleagues at the newly established Galactic Cultural Exchange Center. "Not just as warriors or survivors, but as creators and thinkers." With funding from the United Earth government, Russell organized the first interspecies cultural festival. The event would showcase human arts, music, dance, and cuisine alongside similar expressions from other Confederacy species. The festival faced significant challenges. Many aliens were still reluctant to attend an event with large numbers of humans present. Even with the new suppressant drugs, the fear remained. "We need to start small," Russell decided. Personal connections first. He invited a select group of alien diplomats and scholars to attend smaller cultural workshops. In these controlled settings, humans demonstrated their artistic traditions: painting, music, dance, and storytelling. What happened surprised everyone. The aliens discovered that humans engaged in creative activities produced entirely different chemical signatures than humans in stressful or competitive situations. These creative chemistry signals were much less threatening, and some species even found them pleasant. "It's fascinating," said Zarel, the 4-armed xenobiologist who had worked with Dr. Nichols. "When humans create art or music, their chemical output changes dramatically. Instead of fear, I feel curiosity." Word spread throughout the Confederacy. More aliens became willing to attend the cultural events. The full festival, when it finally happened, drew representatives from 14 species, far more than anyone had expected. Russell watched with satisfaction as humans and aliens shared their creative traditions. A human orchestra performed alongside Quarian sound sculptors. Human chefs worked with draconian food specialists to create dishes both species could enjoy. Children from Earth taught alien visitors to fly kites in the park outside the center. "They're not afraid anymore," Russell's assistant Olivia said as they observed the interactions. "At least not as much as before." "Because they're seeing us as we truly are," Russell replied. "Not just as predators or survivors, but as complete beings with the same desires and dreams they have." The most surprising development came 6 months after the festival. The Draconian High Command, which overseen the Confederacy's defense forces, formally requested human military advisors. "We wish to train alongside humans," the Draconian message stated. "If we can overcome our instinctive fear responses in controlled settings, we will become more effective warriors." The logic was simple. What better way to overcome fear in battle than by training with the species that triggered the strongest fear responses? Admiral Wright personally selected the first group of human military advisors. Captain Daniel Foster, who had led the failed training exercise on Mars years earlier, was chosen to head the program. "This time will be different," Foster told his team as they prepared to depart for the Draconian training world. "They want to learn from us, not just about our tactics, but about our persistence and determination." Over the next 50 years, humanity's unique evolutionary history became recognized as both a strength and a diplomatic tool. Specialized human teams served throughout the galaxy as disaster responders, entering environments too threatening for other species. Their biological traits, the same ones that once caused fear, helped them endure conditions that would break most aliens. At the same time, human artists, musicians, and diplomats worked to build connections through what became known as the chemical language of creativity. Cultural exchanges flourished, with humans teaching and learning alongside alien partners. Research stations studied Earth's unusual evolutionary path, seeking to understand how humans had developed such a unique combination of intelligence, creativity, and survival drive. Some theorized that Earth's many predators and harsh environments had forced humans to develop both strong fight-or-flight responses and powerful social bonds. "Humans didn't just evolve to be predators," Dr. Nichols explained during a well-attended lecture at the Confederacy Science Academy. "We evolved to be protectors and creators too. The same chemicals that signal danger to other species also help us care for our young, create beautiful art, and explore the unknown." 100 years after first contact, Admiral Kennedy, now elderly and serving as Earth's ambassador to the Confederacy, addressed the Galactic Council on the centennial celebration. Representatives from all 32 member species, including 7 that had joined since humans, gathered in the Grand Council chamber. "We didn't evolve on a death world," Kennedy said, her voice strong despite her years. "We evolved on Earth, where life has always been both beautiful and dangerous. Our ancestors didn't just survive by being predators, they survived by protecting each other, by innovation, and by persistence." She looked around at the assembled aliens, noting how the distance protocols had changed. Many now sat comfortably near the human delegation. "Yes, other species may sense our capacity for violence," she continued, "but what they're truly detecting is our unwillingness to surrender when faced with challenges. That same determination that once frightened you now helps protect the galaxy we all share." When the council chambers filled with the alien equivalent of applause for the first time, not a single delegate moved away from the human contingent. The predator plague had become the protector's gift. The apex predators of the galaxy had learned that humans were indeed dangerous, but only to threats against peace and cooperation. And that was something worth celebrating, not fearing.